Hi everybody, this is Dawn over at Plot Chronicles. I read one of my friend's favorite books. Let's get started and talk about it. The good thing is it was a pretty short book, and it's actually a young adult book, and it came highly rated. I looked it up. It had really good reviews. I thought it was a good book, and it is called, and I'm going to name it below. My husband said I'm pronouncing it correctly, Kyra. And the author's, her name is Cynthia. Her last name is difficult to pronounce, but I'll put it below. But basically, I'm going to tell you what it's about. It is about and I thought this was good because I know I read a lot of thrillers and I enjoy the twists, but sometimes it's good to read historical fiction and read what I call a good story where it tells about people's life. And so this isn't a true story, but it's about a Japanese, and took place back in the very early 70s. And it's about a Japanese family that they live in Iowa. They have an opportunity for work in Georgia, and so they move there. But a lot of people back then, they didn't have the same opportunities as other people, and it talked about what life was like for a Japanese family in Georgia. And it talked about this family, mom and a dad, and at that time they had two little girls and an older sister, Lynn, and Katie was the younger daughter. And then later on they had a baby brother. And so Lynn became ill, and it was how the family dealt with that. But basically it was really all about the struggles of what they went through to survive. The parents worked a lot. There was a lot of responsibilities, and it was kind of like, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of my parents. Nowadays, this is just my opinion, a lot of people, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, I think there's a time and a place for everything, but my parents were, especially my father, was very tough love, okay? It was like, hey, we don't have time to worry about this, cry about this, we got to figure it out. We don't have time to, be upset about things. You know what? Yeah, basically, get back to work, or, that kind of thing. It's no crying or whining about anything, okay? That's kind of how this family was. Hey, yeah, you got to work a lot, but be glad you got a job. Hey, it doesn't matter if you don't feel well or you're feeling a little sad today. Doesn't matter. Get to work. I don't know if your parents were kind of like that. My father was more like that than my mother, but even though my parents were good people, I was raised, even though I wasn't raised in back in this situation, but I was kind of raised with a little bit of tough love. Hey, you basically don't wear your heart and your feelings on your sleeve, and you just brush it off and you keep moving, that kind of thing. So that's kind of what this family was like, but yet they all loved each other and they were there for one another. But I tell you, they just were very hardworking and, always looking to, make money. They worked hard and they saved everything so that they could buy a house. And it was really cute in the story. Her and her sister, the parents would give them a little teeny bit of money each week. And with that money, they set it aside and they didn't want to tell the parents to go towards buying a house, because the parents, one of their dreams was to be able to buy a home so they could have a little more room. Well, when the time came where the parents were ready, and remember, these parents are working many hours a day, taking the kids with them, and the kids had a lot of responsibilities, and they gave the money to their parents, to go towards the house. I mean, it wasn't a whole lot of money. They were kids, but I thought that was good. But the sister Lynn did become ill, and it was about how the whole family kind of came. And when I say ill, I'm talking ill for a long period of time. And it was how the family handled it. I thought it was a very well-written book. It just tells the story of a family. And I like stories like that go through a certain period of time and what things were like. I'd like to see more things like that, like things that take place in maybe even the 80s. Heck, even the 90s is considered vintage nowadays. Sometimes I sometimes think of the 90s as the good old days. Can I get a hello? Anyway, let me know if you guys have read that. Do you enjoy historical fiction? By the way, over on this channel, and even my other one, Sensible Living with Money Mom, I still like to keep most of the videos less than 6 minutes. On my next video, which is tomorrow, you're going to go, oh my gosh, I'm going to talk to you guys about, I'm going to read one of my husband's favorite books and do a review. And I'm going to show you some of his favorite books. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I love you. Bye.